The two men dash after Lin Hao, who glances back just in time to see them closing in. One of the men remarks, almost with a touch of surprise, that the creature seems to have the ability to flee, pondering aloud whether it might possess some level of intelligence. As Lin Hao runs, he can't help but notice that the man is managing to keep pace, even while lugging a large, heavy black box. The realization strikes Lin Hao that this is no ordinary pursuer. His thoughts race as he senses the man drawing nearer, and with a quick decision, Lin Hao unleashes his formidable tail slap. The force of the strike sends a tremendous splash surging through the water as the surface explodes in a powerful wave. Lin Hao arrives at a quiet corner where tall grasses sway gently, offering a moment of respite. He exhales slowly, feeling the tension in his muscles ease. The pursuit has been intense, but he knows it's time to stop running, as they shouldn't be chasing anymore. As he glides through the murky water, a hint of doubt flickers in his mind. Perhaps he's overthinking this. But he quickly reassures himself that, even if they catch up to him, his ability to teleport will ensure his escape. The thought brings a sense of calm as he dives deeper into the river, wondering who those mysterious figures might be. They don't seem like they're part of Lu Shui's official organization, and there's something about them that feels off, as if they're not people to be trusted. However, he pushes the thoughts aside, reminding himself that he has a more important task to focus on. Whatever, he murmurs, realizing that time is running out. He spots some tilapia swimming nearby and decides to eat, knowing he needs to regain his strength. As he consumes the fish, he feels a surge of energy, and a status window appears, confirming that he's gained 50 evolution points for each adult tilapia he devours. His profile screen flashes, but there are only minor changes in his size and combat power. He's slightly disappointed by the lack of significant improvements, but he continues eating, noting how filthy the river is. Despite its dirtiness, the creatures in the river provide him with valuable evolution points, which makes it worth the unpleasantness. Next to him, the mermaid crinkles her nose in disgust, complaining about the foul smell. His eyes scan the task status window, his gaze narrowing as he takes in the list of challenges before him. Among them, there's an ordinary task requiring him to devour 100 janitors, with the reward promising sharper teeth. Another task demands the consumption of 200 crawfish, offering enhanced horn sharpness in return. A third task calls for the devouring of 10 eels, with the promise of a white treasure box as a reward. But it's the difficult task that catches his attention, devouring 10 mutated creatures, with a blue treasure box waiting at the end. He mutters to himself about the 4 tasks, noting the difficulty of the last one. He wonders aloud where he could possibly find so many mutated creatures, deciding then and there to set it aside. His focus shifts to leveling up, and with a weary sigh, he resolves to head back and rest first. Just as he turns away, a warning status window appears before him, flashing a message that the teleportation time available is limited to 2 hours. He nods in understanding, expecting this increase in time as he levels up. A grin spreads across his face as he realizes he's finally made it out of the beginner's area. The thought of this victory lightens his mood, and he chuckles to himself, pleased that there's no rush to return. He decides he'll stay a bit longer to feast, but his thoughts are interrupted as he notices a sudden disturbance among the nearby fish. His senses sharpen, and his eyes narrow in suspicion as he notices that something isn't right. A strange presence tingles at the edge of his awareness, and he demands to know who's there. His voice rings out in the water, but the only response is a shadow speeding towards him. His heart races as he squints into the gloom, trying to make out the shape. His mind whirls with possibilities. Is it another mutated creature? Or could it be a person? As the figure draws nearer, the water clears enough for him to see that it is indeed a person, armored and with a sword at his ready. His eyes widen in recognition as he realizes it's that man from before. Without warning, the man lunges, his sword flashing towards Lin Hao. Cursing under his breath, Lin Hao realizes that they've caught up to him after all. He narrowly dodges the strike, but the man sneers, claiming that Lin Hao can't evade his blade. The next strike lands, and Lin Hao is hurled backward, pain flaring through his body as his scales are damaged. Groaning, he pulls himself to his feet, marveling at the speed of the man's blade. His enemy's voice drips with disdain as he observes Lin Hao still standing, not dead yet. Suddenly, a sharp light coming from Lin Hao catches the man's attention, and he wonders what it could be. The light seems to pulse from within him, and the man's eyes widen as he realizes Lin Hao isn't about to give up. With a roar, Lin Hao, now emitting a radiant glow, hurls himself at his attacker, his anger boiling over. He dares the man to strike him with that sword again. Their battle intensifies, with Lin Hao's horn crashing into the man's armor, shattering the protection over his eyes. Recognition dawns on Lin Hao, it really is the man from before. Seizing the moment, he charges again, his horn aimed with deadly precision. But something about the man's armor puzzles him as he tries to comprehend how it could grant a human such formidable strength underwater. The man is also not done yet. Dark energy crackles around his sword as he hisses out a warning to Lin Hao, claiming he's looking for death. The sword slashes through the water, but Lin Hao is quick, dodging the strike and sinking his teeth into the man's armored hand. To his frustration, the armor resists his bite entirely. He wonders what kind of material it's made of, as even his sharp teeth can't pierce it. The man's frustration mirrors Lin Hao's as he swings his sword again, shouting that this beast is courting death. With a powerful blow, he throws Lin Hao away. Lin Hao grits his teeth and vows to himself that he'll make the man pay. But just as he's about to launch another attack, a bright light appears, and the status window pops up, announcing that today's teleportation time limit has been reached. Lin Hao reflects on the close call. The blade that had been used against him was frighteningly sharp. One more cut and his scales might have given way. As he describes the weapon's unusual sharpness, the mermaid listens carefully, noting that it seems far from an ordinary sword. Lin Hao is struck by the thought that the armor he had seen, labeled as suit number 3, might be evidence of advanced technology. He wonders that it seems that technology has progressed so much that such sophisticated armor is now available. His thoughts turn to the mention of ancient ruins by the men, and he begins to piece together a troubling idea. Remnants of lost civilizations might be scattered across Earth, and the armor and sword could be relics from these ancient times. The possibility emerges: mutated creatures, ancient ruins, the GT virus, and ET might all be connected. He imagines a scenario where civilizations, as they arrived on Earth, left behind unique ruins. These ruins could be the source of the virus that causes living beings to evolve. The ET beings, who originally created these ruins, might have a plan to awaken their ancestors' mutated creatures by reopening these ancient sites. Feeling a sense of foreboding, he realizes that their world might soon face significant upheaval. Determined to be ready for whatever comes next, Lin Hao resolves to evolve and become stronger as quickly as possible. The mermaid lets out a contented yawn, and at that very moment, a status window flashes before Lin Hao's eyes, announcing his achievement of reaching level 15. With a flourish, it reveals a blue treasure chest he has earned for his efforts. As his profile appears on the screen, he gazes intently at his skills. His attention narrows to one particular skill that now stands out. The status window highlights the enhancement of his night combat ability, noting that it has granted him improved night vision and an overall strength boost of 10%. A smile of satisfaction spreads across his face as he absorbs the news. While he acknowledges that the increase may seem modest at the moment, he recognizes that as he continues to grow stronger, this upgrade will become increasingly significant. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink and bathing the riverbank in a warm, golden light, two men sat quietly at the corner. One of them, speaking with concern, turned to his companion and addressed him as Big Brother, asking where the elusive mutated creature had disappeared to. The elder man inspects the headpiece of his armor with a worried expression, admitting that he has no idea where the creature has gone, as it seems to have vanished into thin air. The younger man wonders aloud if the beast might have the ability to teleport, his voice laced with curiosity. The elder man, looking skeptical, questions whether such a possibility is realistic. Their conversation shifts to the state of the elder's armor. With frustration and regret, the elder curses, lamenting the effort he put into acquiring the armor, only to have it damaged by the creature's bite. He then gets up, sensing the need to move on, and reminds his younger companion of their urgent tasks. As they prepare to leave, The elder pauses, his mind returning to Lin Hao's eyes reflected in the water during their fight. A sense of unease creeps over him as he recalls the unusual intelligence he sensed in the creature. Realizing the potential danger, he decides he needs to report this to the organization to keep it out of the rival dragon group's hands. In a lively group chat, a curious voice inquires if anyone has heard about the recent blockade of the Eastern Division. They describe an unsettling sight. Numerous figures clad in black uniforms had been spotted, giving the area an ominous feel. The conversation quickly shifts as another participant adds a chilling detail they've heard, that the place is rumored to be haunted. This revelation stirs concern, prompting someone to question the validity of the claim and plead not to be frightened. Another voice wonders aloud if the rumors of hauntings could mean a police presence is imminent, speculating about a serial murderer in the mix. Amidst the mounting anxiety, someone else notes the heavy traffic in the Eastern Division, suggesting that the restrictions must be significant to warrant such an uproar. By the Hualong River, Lin Hao stretches and yawns, savoring the remnants of a refreshing sleep. His gaze shifts to the mermaid beside him, who watches with an air of curious detachment. The status window appears before him, revealing a set of newly refreshed tasks. The first task, a common one, is to devour 100 scavengers, promising sharper teeth as a reward. Next, another common challenge requires consuming 100 black shell shrimp for an increase in speed. There's also a task to devour 10 eels, which will yield a white treasure chest. Finally, a more daunting task is to devour 10 mutated creatures, with a blue treasure chest as the reward. Lin Hao examines the tasks thoughtfully, noting that the system refreshes them automatically each morning, regardless of completion. Just then, another status window pops up, announcing an upgrade to the map. His eyes light up as he notes the arrival of the new map, and his curiosity peaks. A peculiar sensation tugs at him, an unsettling feeling that something significant is unfolding. Driven by his intuition, he moves swiftly in the direction of the disturbance, feeling a compelling need to uncover the source. As he peers through the clear water, he spots distant flames flickering on the mountainside. With a swift transition, he emerges from the water in his human form, hastily attempting to cover his nakedness and conceal himself. The mermaid, watching his clumsy efforts, sighs in frustration, wondering what to do with him. On Dragon Mountain, tension fills the air as a man shouts urgent orders to his team. His voice is commanding, telling them to hurry and block all possible exits because the target is highly dangerous. He warns them to be ready to shoot and kill once the target is spotted. Meanwhile, a car speeds along the twisting mountain road. Luo Shui is driving, her focus sharp as she talks through the Bluetooth. She informs her contact that she's on her way to Dragon Mountain. The voice on the other end stresses the importance of the mission, telling her to surround the mountain and ensure the target doesn't escape. Luo Shui acknowledges the gravity of the situation. She reports that the EL organization's members are present at the site, prompting the one on the Bluetooth to dismiss them as crazy. The elder man from earlier, now using a sniper rifle, ponders the madness of those who would join such a group, injecting themselves with the GT virus to enhance their abilities. Luo Shui, now outside her car with her gun ready, instructs her team to focus on the EL members since the ET is injured and less effective in combat. She emphasizes the need to prevent the EL agents from interfering. The sniper, aiming at a cloaked figure holding a bomb, fires at him, and Lu Shui mutters about the lunacy of them and fears they might intend to blow up the entire mountain. She then notices a helicopter above and tells her team to activate their armor protection and spread out. Suddenly, a massive explosion shakes the mountain, sending shockwaves through the rugged landscape. In the quietness of the forest, Lin Hao and the mermaid walk cautiously, the thick trees around them adding to the sense of mystery. Lin Hao can't help but wonder how the mermaid knows the way in a place so well guarded. She casually explains that her skills as a hacker make navigating these hidden paths second nature to her. Then, with a curious look, she asks why he suddenly decided to come here. Lin Hao reflects on the explosion that had occurred earlier. In that moment, he felt a strange, powerful force that he couldn't ignore. As they walk, he places his hand on a tree, feeling a connection with the forest. He tells the mermaid that something in this place resonates with him, as if it's calling out to him. The mermaid, surprised by his words, can't help but exclaim in astonishment. Suddenly, voices echo through the trees, their words filled with frustration. One voice curses, complaining that they can't contact their organization because the dragon team has cut off their communication. Another voice, more focused, brushes off the complaint, pointing out that their commander has already been blown away, and their priority now is to find the injured ET. Lin Hao listens closely, realizing that both sides are after the same target. The voices sound familiar, like old friends, and he senses that if he follows them, they will lead him straight to the ET. As he listens, one of the men curses a monstrous fish that had torn through his armor, leaving him in this mess. The other man agrees, noting how dangerous the creature is and even managing to bite through their number 3 suit. Their voices fade as they rush off, one urging the other to stop complaining and focus on finding the ET, hinting that capturing it could earn them a brand new set of armor. They speed up, dark energy swirling around one of them as they move with incredible speed. Lin Hao watches from behind the bushes, amazed by their swiftness, realizing that if they were on open ground, he wouldn't stand a chance against them. He starts to move again, but a sound stops him in his tracks. He turns, scanning the area, and follows the noise until he finds Luo Shui. She is in the midst of a battle, firing her weapon with precision to kill a monster. The sight of the creature's twisted, ugly form fills Lin Hao with disgust. But before he can dwell on it, the mermaid taps him on the head, scolding him for worrying about aesthetics at a time like this. Her words bring him back to the seriousness of the situation, and she urges him to stay focused. Nearby, Luo Shui speaks calmly into her Bluetooth, informing someone that she has found the ET and is sending its location. As she does, another figure appears, a man who steps forward, laughing coldly. He recognizes Luo Shui and addresses her mockingly as the famous Captain Luo, pointing his sword at her with a twisted smile. He taunts her, saying it's a shame it has to end this way, before charging at her with a shout, ready to strike her down. But Lin Hao storms into the scene and grabs the man's hand firmly, and a strange, bright light appears between them. With a fierce look, he demands to know who the man thinks he can kill. Realizing time is running short, he knows he must act quickly. With a decisive push, Lin Hao drives the man's own sword into his chest. As the sword goes through the man's torso and emerges from his back, the man, gasping in shock, recognizes Lin Hao. With a grim chuckle, he remarks that Lin Hao is no different from him. He then pulls the blade out and throws it towards Luo Shui. She narrowly avoids it, her mind racing to confirm if it was really Lin Hao. Lin Hao's fist glows with a powerful blue light, and he lands a crushing punch to the man's chest, enveloping them both in a strange blue aura. Luo Shui tries to see through the blinding light, calling out for Lin Hao in desperation. When the light fades, she finds Lin Hao gone, leaving only the man's lifeless body on the ground. Confused, she looks at the water, trying to convince herself that she has indeed seen Lin Hao. Underwater, Lin Hao, now in fish form, peeks out and apologizes, saying it's not the right time for them to be together because they both have their own missions. The teary-eyed mermaid reflects on the bittersweet separation of the couple. Embarrassed, he dismisses her dramatic comments, explaining that he felt different when he was in human form. The mermaid explains that while his human form lacks extra boosts, the combat skills and mindset from his koi form are still with him. Meanwhile, Luo Shui urgently instructs her team through Bluetooth to be on high alert, as the injured ET has gone missing amid the confusion. She orders them to spread out and search for the coordinates she sent. The mermaid, curious, asks Lin Hao where the ET might have gone. He guesses that the ET is trying to find the spaceship to escape. He then starts complimenting the mermaid, calling her the best and most beautiful system, and asks for her help in locating the spaceship. The mermaid, annoyed, pushes him away and questions how she could find it. He insists she can help avoid detection and should be able to sense electronic signals. He encourages her to try and connect with them. The mermaid, skeptical but willing, senses something and reports that the spaceship is on the mountaintop. Lin Hao races towards the mountain with the mermaid following, questioning his urgency. He is determined to stop the ET from escaping, fearing that if it returns with information, they could face even greater danger. The ET monster drinks from the river, its eyes catching sight of some tiny fish swimming nearby. Suddenly, it leaps into the water, causing ripples to spread. Lin Hao, swimming close by, is overwhelmed by the strong smell of blood that seems to be coming from just ahead. The status window flashes a warning. This creature is stronger than he is. Lin Hao, spotting the monster, realizes this is a serious threat since its power is greater than his own. Determined to end the fight quickly, he activates his horn and shouts his intent to strike while the monster is still vulnerable. He charges at the creature, aiming to jab it in the face with his horn. He relentlessly tries to pierce the monster's tough skin. In response, the monster pulls out a sword and swings it at Lin Hao. He manages to block the attack with his fin, recognizing the move from previous battles and questioning whether the monster's strength comes more from its gear than from skill. As his horn gets damaged in the clash, he grimaces in pain. The monster, now rising towards the surface, finds itself at a disadvantage. Lin Hao takes the chance to bite off the monster's hand and tears it away, dismissing its toughness and mocking its reliance on the blade. In a final desperate act, the monster channels all its strength into a powerful blow, striking at Lin Hao with fierce determination. The sound of Lin Hao's name cuts through the darkness, a distant voice urging him to wake. Submerged in cold, unforgiving water, Lin Hao struggles to stay conscious. Just as despair threatens to pull him under, a firm grip grabs his hand, pulling him to safety. It's the mermaid, her voice filled with urgency as she demands he wake up. Suddenly, Lin Hao shifts back to his fish form, his eyes opening in confusion. The mermaid surrounds him with a protective barrier, warning him that she can only offer limited help. She urges him that time is running out. If he doesn't act fast, he'll die. Before he can fully understand her warning, a monstrous force breaks through the barrier with a powerful punch, hurling Lin Hao to the ground. Writhing in pain, Lin Hao curses the sharp sting that he hasn't felt in ages. The ET monster roars angrily, questioning how Lin Hao dared to attack it. It swings its fist again with frightening speed, but Lin Hao narrowly escapes, observing the creature's incredible quickness. The monster sneers, calling Lin Hao a mere fish and mocking him. But as Lin Hao's body starts to glow with intense light, the monster's confidence fades into confusion. With renewed determination, Lin Hao transforms, his light growing brighter as he charges at the beast. He attacks with fierce resolve, biting down hard. Despite the pain, he clings to the monster, telling himself that he cannot, no matter what, let go. In a final act of defiance, he bites off the monster's remaining hand, letting out a sigh of relief as the beast finally falls. Exhausted but victorious, Lin Hao stands over the defeated foe. As they race away, a man shouts orders to his team, telling them to search in a certain direction. His threats are harsh. If they fail to find what they're looking for, he'll chop them up and feed them to the dogs. Lin Hao, hidden beneath the river's surface, listens in fear. He wonders where all these people have come from and realizes that if they find him, he's finished. On the riverbank, one man looks into the water and insists that the signal must be nearby. Another man, calling him boss, questions what they should do if the signal is dead. The boss responds coldly, saying that if the signal is dead, they will track down whoever is responsible, skin them, and bury them with the signal. Lin Hao surfaces briefly, cursing to himself. He knows he must stay hidden. He dives back under the water, thinking that desperate times call for desperate measures. Determined to evade capture, he decides to take a risky chance, hoping it will be enough to save him. Lin Hao stares in amazement at his changed body, now a towering, formidable figure. He marvels at his new arms and legs, which have become strong and flexible. Moving around is now much easier, and he feels a remarkable surge of strength, unlike anything he's felt before. In the Dragon Mountains, two men stand watch in front of a large spaceship. One of them instructs the other to stay alert and wait for their boss to arrive with the equipment. The second man nods in agreement. Suddenly, they are struck by something small and sharp, causing one of them to wonder who might be there. From the shadows, Lin Hao emerges, crawling on the ground with his newly transformed body. The mermaid beside him asks why he is still hanging around after getting her evolution points. He replies that he can't let the spaceship fall into the wrong hands. Inside the spaceship, two men are enjoying their music, completely unaware of the danger outside. Their colleague outside suddenly shouts, demanding to know who's there and what's happening. Lin Hao silently appears behind him and drives his claw through the man's body. As the man dies instantly, Lin Hao taunts him, reminding him of the threat he had made earlier. The remaining men inside the spaceship catch a glimpse of the scene and scream in fear, begging him to stay away. But Lin Hao is unstoppable. He swiftly deals with the rest of the crew and enters the spaceship. Feeling the surge of his enhanced abilities, he is thrilled by his newfound strength and the freedom of no longer being confined to the water. Returning to his human form, he kicks the dead body that lies in his path and remarks that laying down is the only way to keep them in check. The spaceship's control system, however, proves confusing, and he curses in frustration as he struggles to make sense of it. The mermaid beside him looks equally baffled. Then, Lin Hao's eyes land on something he had anticipated finding. He grabs it and leaves the spaceship with the mermaid. Outside, he stands still, gazing at the spaceship. The mermaid asks why he isn't leaving, wondering if he's waiting for the dragon team to arrive. He explains that if they take the spaceship, they won't be able to contact the dragon team. The mermaid notes that it's uncertain when the dragon team's drones will arrive. Lin Hao, with a glint of confidence, reveals that he has a plan, and it has to be him who carries it out. As he walks alongside the mermaid, she remarks that she can't believe she ever expected him to come up with a decent idea. Without missing a beat, he responds curtly, telling her that if she doesn't understand the plan, she should keep quiet, insisting there's no better strategy than the one they've devised. Meanwhile, a man stares at the burning wreckage of the spaceship, his voice tinged with disbelief as he asks the captain what kind of mutated creature could have caused such destruction. Luo Shui, with a thoughtful expression, admits it's a good question that requires further investigation. Suddenly, a shout emerges from the nearby bushes. A man urgently informs Captain Zhao that they've discovered a pile of guts, which he speculates could belong to an ET. Captain Zhao, pondering aloud, suggests that if there are guts, something must have consumed them. His mind races with possibilities. Perhaps the creature awakened from the zone was then devoured by something else. Luo Shui's thoughts drifts to Lin Hao diving into the water earlier. After a moment of contemplation, she quietly concludes that it's unlikely. She hypothesizes that the ET came to awaken the mutated creatures, but whatever consumed it is beyond her understanding. Captain Zhao, still processing the situation, notes that the spaceship landed only a short time ago, barely having a chance to unleash its full potential before being destroyed. Luo Shui, trying to steer him away from dangerous thoughts, advises him not to overthink the matter. She suggests that if they can't locate the creature, they should instead focus on retrieving the spaceship, as it could offer invaluable knowledge. After all, this is the first time they've encountered an intact spacecraft. Inwardly, she harbors a fear that delving too deeply into this mystery might lead them to uncover Lin Hao. Captain Zhao, however, remains troubled. He points out that they still haven't found the ET's weapon and sarcastically wonders if the creature consumed that too, dismissing the situation as a ridiculous mess. Lin Hao carefully hides the weapon in the water, his hands steady as he watches it sink beneath the surface. He covers it with rocks, making sure it's well hidden. The mermaid, her voice tinged with both disappointment and acceptance, remarks on how they finally managed to get some gear, only to find they couldn't even use it. Lin Hao, with a shrug, admits that his small arms and legs aren't suited for wielding such a weapon, so hiding it seems like the best option for now. To lighten the mood, he pretends that his evolution from a fish to an amphibian shows he's capable of crossing species. Now, with a basic ability to speak, he guesses that's a small victory worth noting. Turning his attention to the pile of tasks in front of him, he notices some new, more challenging missions besides the ordinary ones. The first task requires him to devour a mutated T-Rex, with a purple treasure box as the reward. The next task involves consuming a level 1 warrior green beast, which promises a major boost to his cardio function. The final task is just as daunting, devouring a level 2 warrior green beast, with the reward being a significant improvement to his vision. Frustration wells up in him, and he vents his anger. Just yesterday, he had barely survived devouring a level 2 warrior, and now he faces tasks that seem more like death sentences than challenges. The mermaid, unruffled by his outburst, suggests that if he can't solve a problem, he should simply skip it. She wonders how such an obvious solution could escape him. He replies that skipping a task feels like leaving an entire page of a test blank, something he finds hard to accept. But the mermaid advises him to focus on what's within reach rather than what seems impossible. Taking her advice, he consults the map and, with a determined look, prepares to teleport. He signals to the mermaid that it's time to go. As they appear in a new place with a sudden flash, the mermaid takes a look at the strange creatures around them. She turns to Lin Hao and, with a hint of curiosity, remarks that he should be rushing to eat all those mutated mudfish. She wonders aloud if he really dislikes them. Lin Hao, remaining calm despite the odd surroundings, assures her there's no need to rush. After all, there's still a whole bucket left, and he plans to eat them all once they're done here. Nearby, a man, who's been busy tossing the last of the fish from a large bucket into the water, turns to his friend with a satisfied nod and suggests they go grab a drink. The other man, smiling, replies that they just said the word, and they won't head home until they've had their fill by the end of the night.
To be continued. If you want to watch the next part, then like and subscribe and let me know in the comment of what recap you want to watch next.